You are welcome to another episode of Affadot TV Q&A interview series. Karimot Isiaka is my guest on this episode of Q&A. She's a certified life coach, a NLP practitioner. She's a writer and an inspirational teacher who is passionate about helping individuals break limiting beliefs and building confidence. She's the author of 2 books titled Be More Than Potential and Confidence Within. She's also the host of Becoming More podcast. Welcome to the program, Karimot Isiaka.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Some of our viewers may want to know the meaning of NLP.
Okay, NLP it means neuro-linguistic programming. So it's basically the science of mind engineering. It's a technique that teaches us, it helps us to enhance our well-being and the way we live our lives, basically.
Oh, that's interesting. What is the difference between self-confidence and self-esteem?
Self-esteem is basically the way we judge ourselves and the way we feel about ourselves. So your self-esteem can either be high or low. So if you feel good about yourself, that means you have high self-esteem. If you feel bad about yourself, that means you have low self-esteem. While self-confidence is basically your ability to believe in yourself and your ability to believe that you can do something great. And I always say that confidence is an inside thing and it's a skill that anyone can develop.
Can self-confidence be faked?
Yes, it can be faked, but it's not sustainable. When you fake confidence, it's like you are being fake. If you know that you're not a confident person, it's better to try to build self-confidence. Like I said earlier, it's a skill, you can learn it. I wouldn't advise that you fake it because it's temporary. It's not long-lasting. So if you want a sustainable confidence, build your self-confidence.
What kind of activities build self-esteem?
Okay, I would say there are different things that can help you to, feel better about yourself. The way you interpret life situations is one of them. Don't be a pessimist. Be someone that is optimistic. So if you're an optimist, you look at the good side of things. Like even if something bad has happened, you can say that maybe this happened for a good reason. When things happen to you, the way you interpret the outcomes can determine how you feel about yourself. Also, whether we like it or not, we talk to ourselves. We may not be talking out, but we are constantly thinking and having a conversation internally. So the internal conversations that you have with yourself, they have to be positive. If they are positive, it can help you to build a better self-esteem. And words of affirmations, tell yourself that you're amazing, you are not your mistakes, you are fantastic, you're beautiful. Just use, speak good words to yourself. These 3 things can help you to build a better self-esteem.
I can just say those points you have mentioned are positive conversation you can have with someone.
Yourself, yeah.
What are those things people do that can build or destroy a child's self-esteem?
The way you talk to a child, I think that is the most important thing that can build or destroy a child's self-esteem. When your child makes a mistake, don't make it look like your child is not permitted to make a mistake. Don't make it look like you don't make a mistake yourself. And don't make your child look like he is the mistake he has made. The mistake is different. The child is different. Parents need to be emotionally intelligent because a parent that is emotionally intelligent would know how to work with their child. So no matter what your child does, learn to be calm and talk to your children or your child in a way that does not make them feel like they are the mistakes that they have made. So always put yourself in their shoes. I say that parents should be kind, talk to them in a kind way, in a positive way, in an empathic way too. This would determine whether they would have a low self-esteem or high self-esteem.
Are there any correlations between self-esteem, self-confidence and depression?
There might be. While you are depressed or anyone that is experiencing depression, at that point in time might not be confident because depression is like a mood disorder that leads to like long-term sadness, the feeling of sadness for a prolonged period of time and loss of interest in the things that would normally interest the person that is depressed. So while anyone is going through depression, I think that it might affect their self-esteem and their self-confidence, because at that point, you are not interested in anything. The things that would ordinarily interest you, they no longer interest you. So, and you are hopeless, you are helpless. You have the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. That's how you feel at that point. So, at that point, your self-confidence will definitely be low and your self-esteem will be low until you work on that depression.
Can you give us tips that can help boost self-confidence?
Yes, a few tips that can help you to build self-confidence. One of them is don't compare yourself to anyone, because I mean sometimes comparison, a lot of times is not good, but there is healthy comparison and the unhealthy one. But what a lot of us do is the unhealthy comparison. So we are comparing ourselves to people that we think are doing better than us. Although we don't know the real story, we don't know their behind the scenes. We are just seeing their highlight reels on social media, for instance. So I think that when we take off comparison and just focus on our own lives and understand that we are on different paths and we're on different journey, it will be better for us. Another thing is, like I said before, the things that we say to ourselves, the internal conversations that we have with ourselves. We should make sure that they are positive. And the way you interpret things when they happen, you know, when something happens, or like you made a mistake, instead of you to say, I'm useless, or I'm always messing things up. It is just one mistake that you made. Don't make it look like your whole life has ended. So just take it easy on yourself. Do not, don't let how you feel be dependent on other people's opinion, because opinions change from time to time. It's not permanent. Someone can say yes today and decide to say no today based on maybe they are more informed than they were yesterday. So don't let your perception of yourself, don't let it be defined by the public or public opinion. So whatever it is, that define yourself for yourself. You are not perfect, yes, but you are not worse. You are not any negative negative comments that people make. You should always be positive. Yes, you should always be positive. That can, if some of these things can help you build confidence. And also, I need to add this: always embrace personal development. If you're always working on yourself, it helps to boost your self-confidence. But if you are the same person every day, like you were 5 years ago, it's possible that you may not be confident in yourself, because when the last time we saw was 5 years ago and we are meeting today, something is different about me, but you're still the same thing. It can make you feel a little less of yourself. So be on a constant journey of personal development. What
are the challenges you face in the course of coaching young people about personal development?
This is such an interesting question. It just reminded me of a young lady that reached out to me when I released my first book to mentor her. So I recommended a few books for her to read, and she told me that she can't read the books because she doesn't like reading. Someone like that is not teachable. And if you want to grow, you can't say you don't like doing something. If it's going to help you grow, then you would have to do it. Exactly. So I feel like the mindsets of some of our young people, some of us, needs to be worked on, because we have this fixed mindset, and if you have a fixed mindset, it will be hard for you to grow. So I feel some young people have a fixed mindset. This is how I am, I cannot adjust. And if you continue like that, you would not grow. I think that's where I just had to tell that lady that I'm sorry, I will not be able to mentor you because it will be a waste of my time. So I have other things to do. And if someone is mentoring you, the person is devoting a good amount of time to ensure that you're a better person. You have to be willing to accept that help.
What motivated you to coaching young people?
Okay, because I'm always learning and always trying to learn new stuff. I would say when I was a teenager, that was like a period in my life where I took becoming a better person seriously, and I love to learn and share at the same time. So in the process of sharing, I saw that people they were reaching out to me to ask questions, and I was just like, it would be better to know how to undo to know how to solve some problems better. That was why I went for life coaching certification program.
Here is your book, Confidence Within. Having read this book, I find it very interesting. In chapter 16 of the book, you wrote an important letter to yourself. How often do you write this letter? Do you write it at every milestone you achieved?
Okay, I don't write it like very often, but I read the letters I've written to myself in the past. Maybe when I'm down, it's just to remind myself. You know, the process of writing a letter to yourself is not something that a lot of us do. We send letters to people, we send emails, but we don't do that to ourselves. So writing a letter to yourself is like a moment of reflection, that no matter what challenge you might be going through, you still have some wins, you have some battles that you've won, you have some things that you've achieved, you have some challenges that you've overcome. So you can just write out this letter to yourself to encourage yourself, to motivate yourself to keep going. So that was why I wrote the letter, and it's a letter that I would advise that everyone also write to themselves, because we don't usually do it. When you do it, it allows you to just look back and also reflect and also see that everything is not all bad. There's something good about you. So you can just list out, let it be like a self-confidence letter, or let it be like a self-love letter to yourself, to tell yourself well done and see how far you've come. I don't write it very often, but I try to read the ones I've written in the past very often.
In the background story of the book, you stated that staying with your grandma was both exciting and challenging to you in terms of your confidence. Would you like to share your story with my viewers?
Yes, thank you. Staying with my grandma taught me a lot, and that was, I think that period of my life was very different from staying with my parents. While I was with my parents, I was more outspoken, I was more lively. But when I moved to my grandma's place, I became very withdrawn, shy, and it was more like I became a shadow of myself. And I know that that's as a result of, we had a relative that lived with us then. She was very harsh. She was harsh towards me, and I think that really affected me. I'm someone that is very expressive. So when I go through anything, I want to go home and tell my mom, even before she drops her bag. But then there's no mommy around to complain to. And sometimes you can talk and grandma will say, please don't disturb me, or she's sleeping. Or you are just saying, this woman is an old woman, let me not disturb her. And then the other woman, you can't talk to her because she's just very harsh. And to be honest, that experience taught me that, I mean, they are good people. They are people that their lives are better because they lived somewhere else other than their parents' home. But based on my own experience, I would just tell people to be careful. My grandma, she's a great woman, but she was a great woman. May I so rest in peace. But the woman we lived with, she's also an amazing person. But I just feel like maybe that period of her life was really challenging. When I moved in, I don't know how it affected her. I don't know what was going through her mind, but she was not really pleasant towards me.
What was your relationship with her?
Okay, she was related to us by marriage. Okay. She married one of my mom's siblings. Okay. So that was what brought us together. And I think the marriage is over now, but she was cold towards me, and that affected I would say that the environment itself, and just, yes, it wasn't friendly for a child. So I think that really affected me. And parents should just be careful. I said no when it was time to live there. I said no initially. When your child is saying no to something, don't force your child to stay in a place she doesn't want to. I think that's something that parents can also take from it.
As a youth, what advice do you have for your fellow youth?
Okay, I would tell my fellow youths to always learn, to be willing to learn. That willingness, be teachable. You are not perfect, because sometimes as young people, we can think that we know everything. Every person you meet knows something that you don't know. Whether you already have your PhD and the person just has A levels. No matter how educated or uneducated you think that person is, every person you meet knows something that you do not know. So be teachable and be calm. Yoruba people will say farabale. So just calm down to learn from people. Be observant. and be teachable, like I said, and always try to work on yourself. Always try to be on your toes. Like, I want to be better than I was yesterday. And I'm not even talking about being better academically alone. Like, attitude-wise, character-wise. If, like, there was a time I used to be very upset over every little thing. I had to work on it. If I wasn't self-aware, I wouldn't know. So I would tell young people to be very observant. Observe yourself. It's easy for you to know what is wrong with every other person. But also look at yourself. How am I? You can even ask yourself, your friends, what do you think I can work on? How do you think I can be better? So always work on yourself, be a better person, and be willing to serve. Volunteering is one of the things that helped me. You know, just putting yourself out there, lean in. When you see an opportunity to do something, don't say, because I'm shy, it's not for me. Just throw yourself into it, because you never can tell the kind of network you will build as a result. And, you know, teamwork. So you get to learn all these soft skills while you are also putting yourself out there, while you're volunteering, while you're serving. So you are it now becomes a two-way street. You are building yourself, and you're also making a contribution as a result. So you're not just like every other young person. You are a young person with a difference.
Thank you. So can you tell our viewers how to get this book?
Okay, you can contact Roving Heights Bookshop on Instagram, and you can also reach out to me on maybe Facebook or Instagram. I'm Karimot Isiaka on all social media platforms, so you can always reach out to me or send me an email at isiakakarimot@gmail.com. I would always respond. I'm very active online, by the way.
Your phone number?
Oh, okay. My phone number 081 27 85 2703.
Thank you, Karimot. It's been a wonderful session with you. Thank you for the advice you've given to the youth. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being a great example of our youth. And I hope by the time we call you next, you'll be available to
Thank
come
you so
over.
much for having me. I've really had a great time, and this is such a privilege. I'm so grateful. Thank you very much, Mal.
We have come to the end of another exciting episode of Affadot TV Q&A interview series. Hope to see you next time with another exciting guest.